What's up, guys? It's the Trucking Guy coming at you. Just wanted to make a quick video. I really appreciate all you tuning in. Please like the channel, subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you can catch future videos that I have coming out. But let's get right into it, guys. Let's talk about the crap that happens in the industry, right? The simple BS, man, that maybe you don't know about, maybe you don't know what you're getting into if you're getting into the industry, or maybe you've already been driving for a while and you do know what's going on. And, you know, hey, what can we do to fix it? There's really not much that I can think of, but let's just dive right into it. One of the biggest things you have, if you're going to have your own authority or even driving for somebody else, and you guys think, man, I'm constantly waiting. This guy can't book me loads. Well, guys, as far as dispatchers go, or a company, or just loads in general, nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody has just an abundance amount of freight in every area that you go to. There's gonna be times that you go to an area that market is just not hot. You got good money coming in. You have to wait till the good money is available to come out. Now, yes, there's a lot of companies, a lot of people on YouTube and different places preaching customers. We make relationships, brokers, this, that, right? But it's just not possible when you first start out, guys. It's just not, unless you've built those under somebody else, and then you establish your own thing and you move right into it, and it's a easy transition. It's just not there. So you're gonna have issues, and you're gonna deal with the load boards, right? The study come out, I think Freightways did a study a while back, and they said that I think it's like 75 to 80% of the carriers in the United States, which is people who have their own authority, is 1 to 6 trucks. Okay, that's the mom and pops, guys. That's us. That's me. That's you. That's everybody. It's 1 to 6 trucks, right? Out of those 70 to 80% of the market, that's 1 to 6 trucks, guys, 90% of them use the load boards, okay? Now, there's a lot of companies that qualify, that, of the big conglomerates, right, that have, 100, 200 trucks, even the JB Hunts of the world, right? They use load boards to get backhauls, to cover things, right? And that's just the way the world works, guys. It just is. They're going to use the freight market. They're going to use the load boards. Most of the good freight, guys, doesn't hit the load board. So the rate that you get coming in, it needs to be with your relationship, or you need to have your email list looking like a load board constantly. Your friends popping in, hey, man, and then when you hit certain areas, the way I did it, I was able to say, hey, I've got a truck over here, man. What do you got going out? And they'll say, oh, I've got something, no problem. I'll send it over, and we negotiate rate. When I go to a certain area, I would constantly push my trucks up to past Chicago, because I had a customer there that I could get them out all the time, making good money with the same commodity. I know what I was loading. They liked me. I could negotiate with them. I could get good rates with them. I could say, oh, hey, so-and-so, it's Aaron, or if there was a mistake made, they'd say, oh, yeah, Aaron, we'll throw you another $100 or $200. I'm sorry about that. And you're able to build a rapport and a relationship with them. And that's how you should run your business, but you're not. You're going to run with brokers, right? So let's talk about the BS. Brokers canceling, right? There's a whole lot of brokers you're going to deal with, even ones that have a big following, been out there a long time. Guys, when I was calling, I knew a lot of them by name. I had most of their cell phone numbers, and I did a lot of phone calls in a day, an average of, somewhere around 400-ish every day. But you're going to have them cancel. They're going to book the load with you, and one of their tactics is they leave it on the load board. They already have you covering it, okay? And you're filling out rate cons, you're ready, or maybe they sent you a rate con. Then they call and say, hey, the customer canceled that load. Customer never canceled the freaking load, okay? And I've done a study myself. I called the customer. No, we never canceled, man. They're still on it. What they did is they had somebody else call and negotiate and say, hey, I'll do it for cheaper. Screw that guy, or hey, I'll do it for $100 cheaper, $200, $300, $400, who knows how much. Maybe they booked it with you for $300, and as a contingency, you're there, right? You're in the back burner. They have you just waiting just in case, right? And you may have done a lot of loads for this person, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's just a new person that's going to do this to you. It could be, I've seen it with people that I have relationships with that have done a lot of stuff, but I was disappointed that they did it. But they did it. And what do? You cut off your own arms. Say, I'm never working for them, especially if they control a lot of freight in a certain area, or they have this customer that they've had for years, right? That you can't really even squeak in the door. But, and then somebody comes in, they booked it for $3,000 with you, $3,000, right? And somebody else calls and says, oh, I'll do it as a partial for $2,000, They just made $1,000. Why wouldn't they call you and say the customer canceled, right? Or, oh, if you have a Hotshot, you're going to hear this one a lot, and you're going to hear it more and more. You're going to see it in the post, guys. No Hotshots, no Hotshots, no Hotshots. We won't load a Hotshot. Or maybe the broker books you to go in the load. They didn't tell them that it was a Hotshot. They told them, yeah, it was a step deck, right? Or they told them, yeah, it was a flatbed, and they send you in there and you can't even load the load because the customer has been so disenfranchised by Hotshots and been burnt and damaged claims and in a lawsuit or whatever, or just asshole Hotshots coming in there to try to load with flip-flops on, no CDL, and unprofessional. And they're like, I'm not loading this guy. And then, so they assume it's unprofessionalism with hot shots, right? So that's what you're seeing more of. You're seeing more claims. Most of the claims that came through with Progressive was hot shots and car haulers, guys, just to let you know, if you go look at some of the research. You know, you have those major claims, right? And that's the problem. They say no hot shots. So it's unlegitimized or illegitimate, you know, what they've done to hot shots, okay? And you're going to see that. And you see a lot of people say, you know, get you a real truck. You have a wannabe truck. Oh, no, we don't load. You know, you have brokers that just don't even work with hot shots at all. They just say, no, you guys are half-assed. You guys suck. You're not professional. You need to get a big boy truck. You need to get a real truck. I've heard it all, man. I've been hung up on. I've heard it all, right? So that's kind of the crap that you're going to deal with. And don't let that kill your day, guys. Just keep the call, keep going something else, right? Or maybe you'll get over there and you didn't tell them. You said, oh, I got a 40-foot flat, and they're new, and they just didn't assume that it was a hot shot, because 40-foot usually is a hot shot, guys. There's not many semis pulling 40-foot trailers. They're 48s, 53s, step decks. They're not 40-footers. So most people, when you say 40, they know it's a hot shot. And they sent you in there, and you can't even load it because it's too heavy, or they won't do it. Or they said it was around 18,000, but it's really like 25,000. But they didn't really take the time to be, you know, on the money of what it weighs. Okay, that's another thing, guys. Going into it, the weights are always wrong on the load boards. They're very, very rarely on point. You know, I have several times you'll go to pick up 10,000 and it's 25,000. You'll go to pick up 18,000 and it's 5,000 pounds. It happens all the time, guys. You'll get there and it's supposed to be a wide load, or you'll get there and it's supposed to be a wide load and it's not a wide load, and you already bought the permits and booked it up as a wide load. So much crap that goes on in the industry when you're dealing with brokers and transactional freight, guys. You know, never paying attention is another one. You know, it's very, very difficult to get detention anymore. Everything is 2 hours is free, because I have a lot of guys asking, what about detention? What about being here, you know, 2.5 hours? The standard is 2 hours is free for everybody, from TQL to Landstar to mom and pop brokerages. They're not going to pay you if it's 2 hours. If it's 3 hours, they have to go to their customer over an hour, and it's usually they pay $50 to 75 an hour. Some companies 25 an hour after 2 hours. So if you were there for 3 hours, they got to go to their customer for $25 or $50, and maybe the rate was already $2 a mile plus, and it was a good rate. They don't even want to bother their customer for that. They think that, you know, it's your problem. Okay, or they might book you on a load, guys, that they know that when you go over there, there's going to be 40 trucks in line, and you're not picking that thing up till tomorrow. Now, you know you booked pre-booked. This is the problem with pre-booking, especially in a hot shot. You might have pre-booked tomorrow, and you get over there and they screwed you. I had this happen to me, and you have to wait there, and then you wait there till 4 or 5 o'clock. They shut down, say come again at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you got to be there in line because guys are showing up at night to pick up, and they're getting in line, right? So you might not even pick up tomorrow if they're so slow at loading. I've had situations like this happen where I finally said, screw it, I'm leaving, I'm gonna get another load, I don't care, right? And it cost me other loads that I had booked because I pre-booked a lot. And this is the stuff that you run into, guys, in the industry, okay? Never paying attention. There's going to be a lot of situations where you fight tooth and nail, or they're going to give you, yeah, we'll get you paid, man. Go ahead and get it unloaded, you know, this and that, and then you'll never be able to get that detention. You'll never hear from them. They won't answer their phone anymore. They'll block your number, so you have to call from other numbers. And if you have say a Florida number, Arkansas number, whatever, and they'll quit answering phone calls from that area for some reason. It's like, it's crazy shiesty stuff that you deal with out here, calling on loads, guys. So this is the true nitty gritty that gets down into it. I'll make this video, try to put it down and condense it into 10 minutes, but this is the shit that goes on in the industry, guys, as you deal with them not wanting to pay attention. Even the big carriers, I've been cussed out by everybody, you know, short, tall, whatever, women, guys, act like I'm an idiot, right? And they say, oh, what do you mean the truck broke down or something happens, right? Because I'm the only company that's not, their trucks aren't allowed to break down. I'm just not allowed. I'm exempt from breaking down, okay? And they get irate, they get mad, they might lose their customer. The customer gets irate, like, you know, the truck broke down, the truck was under the load, the trailer broke down, they had a flat, whatever. They had to get towed. Things happen, guys. And then they get there and they're like, what do you mean you can't get it fixed and right now? Well, because the damn place is booked out a week and you know, it's not happening, right? So you got to have some type of plan on how to get that load delivered, because these things are going to happen. And try not to let it raise your blood pressure, because people get irate, especially some of these rookies that just haven't been around the industry that long. Maybe they've been in a year, 2 years, whatever. They're just cussing and acting a fool. I've been screwed so many times, guys, by, you know, they'll get there and they'll say it wasn't a crane appointment, right? Cranes, guys, are expensive. They can be $1,200 appointments, $1,200 an hour. And they booked a crane and didn't tell you and didn't put it in the rate con. And the crane was there waiting for you for 3 hours because you didn't know you got in traffic or you stopped for lunch. You didn't think it was a crane delivery. And they on the rate confirmation, it said there till 5, right? or there till 3, whatever. So you thought, man, as long as I get there by 3, I'm good. But they had a crane there waiting on you, and then you deliver the load. They don't say nothing about it. Oh yeah, thanks for delivering the load. Then they take it off the rate. The rate was $3,000. They pay you $800, and they pay the crane the rest of the money. What are you gonna do? You're gonna go against their bond? You're gonna sue them? You're gonna spend $5,000 to sue them and tie it up in court to make $2,000? You know what I mean? Like, what's the right thing to do here? They have all the power, guys. Once they can send that check out or not send that check out, they got a rate confirmation sent over to you, and you don't do exactly what's in that rate confirmation. Also, guys, that makes another good point. Okay, they're never paying detention. Detention is almost impossible to get. Now, my guys got really lucky. Last week we had 4 or 5 different detentions in the fleet, and they got all of them, which is crazy, right? We even had one that was screw around pay, what we call screw around pay, where they needed to deliver it to somebody else or somewhere else, so they deliver the load, and they're like, oh no, it goes over here 50 miles down the road or 40 minutes away or 2 hours away, and that happened, and we got him another, I think it was $250 or whatever, and normally they say, no, if you don't take it over here, we're just not gonna unload it. Or we can't unload it today, we're leaving, you know, or a lot of situations you get into, guys, especially in these manufacturing facilities, and I get it, they have to run, you know, a ship the way it is. But you'll get there and they'll say, oh yeah, we're gonna unload you after lunch. Go out there and hang out. Now you booked another load and you're antsy and you're waiting, man, I gotta get over here and pick up this load by 3 or whatever, right? And they're like, oh, nope, we'll be back in an hour. Go sit in the parking lot. Now maybe it was one piece. It literally take the forklift guy 2 minutes. You've already got it unstrapped to, you know, take it off, and they won't do it till after lunch. You're sitting there waiting for an hour. That stuff used to bug the shit out of me, guys. I'd have all these guys, and they just go to lunch. They don't care. They don't care about another human being's time. They do not care at all. Okay, and not only that, they're buttholes. I've had guys that, you know, this happened to me one time in Chicago. They didn't have a PO number. They had the thing I was picking up. It was like one pipe on the forklift in the air, ready to set on my trailer. And it was like, you know, ticking 4 o'clock on a Friday, right? And this was a good paying load. It was, I don't know, $2,500, whatever. It was taking me home too, so I could get home, and I was making good money. And they said, nope, you don't have his PO number. You ain't picking this thing up, bud. And I said, man, you guys know what it is. It's right there. What do you need a PO number for? The stuff, you got it. You know, it's one pipe. There's the pipe. It's ready to go on my trailer. I'm the carrier. Put it on the trailer and get it delivered. Now, these guys were so just set in stone, unionized buttholes that they basically did not, you know, they said, look, if you don't have your PO number here in the next 15 minutes, I'm shutting this door, and you got to try again on Monday, okay? Now, again, 1,000 miles from home. I think I was trying to make it home for a holiday or birthday or something too. And man, I was just, I called the broker. I called everybody. It's Friday. You know how it is. At 4 o'clock, everybody's gone. Everybody's out doing something with their family, taking them to dinner, going to the movies, whatever. I couldn't get the PO number. So I'm sitting out there by the truck. I'm thinking, man, these guys are going to load me. They can't be this. Boom. Shut the door, went out back, got in their car and left. Okay? I didn't get a penny for that. They screwed me out of that. They would not give me a truck order not used, nothing. And it was a broker that I'd worked for many times before. They just said, hey, man, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't know you needed a PO number. I thought you had your PO number. It wasn't on the rate con. It wasn't on anything, email. I couldn't get a hold of nobody. It was Monday before I got a hold of anybody. I already dipped. I said, screw it, I'm out, man. And I had to go home. And I said, oh, well, you know, and then they wanted to blame me and make it my problem for not getting the load where it needed to be on Monday, right? So that's the kind of stuff you're going to deal with getting into this, guys. You got to fight this stuff, and it's tough out there, okay? Another thing, you know, with the detention, guys, sometimes you're just not going to get it. You can apply for it. They're going to, nope, we don't pay that. You know, and there's a lot of facilities you might get there, and it's first come, first serve, and they've got a huge sign, a big banner that says, we don't pay detention. Why? Because they suck at loading, and there's 30 trucks in a parking lot across the street, and you got to go get in line. And you're number 31, and they tell you take a number, and you'll have people show up, and they'll lose you, and be like, oh, sorry, we forgot about you, or you got lost, get back in, we can load you after this guy, and they've already accepted another 10 or 15 trucks. I've had this happen, guys. Now, you company drivers, you don't have to deal with it because the companies pay you guys and stuff, but when you're an owner-operator, all of that responsibility is on you to negotiate that, to deal with that with good relationships and good brokers and good friends, and that's your responsibility. And at the end of the day, you may not get paid for that stuff. You just not, if you don't know how to negotiate it well, you're not with a good company. I can't even count the amount of times we haven't got detention or screw around pay. Or you go over there to pick up the load and they say that it's already been sent out, or that got sent out Friday and somebody brokered it, or they gave it to 4 or 5 brokers that shopped it, and they booked it with somebody else on Friday, didn't tell them. You go over there to pick it up on Monday, the commodity is not even there, and you drove 100 miles to go pick it up, and they're not going to pay you a truck order not used to go over there and get it, and they just don't care. They just write it off like, we don't care. You need us more than we need you. No respect in that aspect, okay? Now, this doesn't happen often, but I would say it happens a few times a year that you might, you say you take a new broker, hey, yeah, I'll work with this guy. I like him. He sounds cool over the phone, or gal or whatever. And you take the load, and then something crazy like this unfolds, or something happens, right? Or you might even deliver a load and there's no damage. Everybody signs off on it good. You know you didn't damage it. And then a month later, you get a claim saying that this thing was damaged, right? Or even something else that happens with flatbedders a lot that really drives me nuts is you'll pull up to pick something up, they want it tarped, and it's been sitting in the rain for 6 years. It's sitting out there all rusted, sitting in the rain, and they want it tarped, right? So you call them, hey, this thing's sitting outside, it is what it is. Why do I got to tarp it? It's been rained on for, 14 centuries, and you want me to put it on my trailer and tarp it. And some of these flatbed companies pay $25, $30 to tarp. We pay, upwards of 100, but, or whatever the tarp fee is, we usually pass that on. But some companies and brokerages pay it differently. Some add it into the rate, some don't. Some separate it. So basically, that might be something that you get into where you're like, this is stupid, and then you tarp it, right? And you go deliver, and you're like, I don't know why you tarped this. You didn't have to tarp it. We're going to take it out and set it in the rain for another 3 years until we get ready to use it, or whatever. And or we're going to cut it into a million pieces, or we're going to sandblast it. So it didn't even matter if it got salt on it or whatever from the north. So that stuff's frustrating, guys, and that's just part of the industry. It's going to raise your blood pressure. You're going to tarp in the rain because they don't have a place for you to get up under. And you ask them, why don't you, if you want this stuff tarped and you want me to tarp it in the rain and keep it from getting wet, why don't you have a place for me to get inside of, or something that's crazy tall? Why don't you have a tarping machine? Why don't you have something that we can use here to get this done? Why do I got to crawl up on top of this unsafe equipment? They don't care about you. They don't care about your life. They really don't. They just care about getting their crap out. Or maybe they've built something or manufactured something that's not something that they typically do, and it's a custom type of situation. They didn't create it. They didn't prepare it for shipping, especially in flatbedding, guys. If you don't have tarp blankets and know how to set stuff up, you're going to run in 80% of the time, stuff's not prepped for shipping. It's not. There's sharp edges, machinery, different things. It's not prepped for shipping. It's not ready for shipping. I used to get to places, I tell them, man, this thing ain't going to fly. You're going to have to wrap this with saran wrap and cardboard. Let me know when you're done. And half the time, more than half, probably 75%, they would take care of it. They would get it ready and say, okay, we don't want to rip your tarps, we understand. And they would send somebody to do it, right? But I got to sit there and wait. Maybe I had something else booked as a partial, whatever. That cuts into your time. And then other times they'd say, we ain't doing nothing, but it is the way it is. You're going to take it or you don't take it. We don't give a shit. And, in that situation, you're the one out there wrapping it up with cardboard and saran wrap and tarp blankets and corner protectors and duct taping them on and all the stuff you need to do to protect your tarps because they're $300 a piece. And one little hole turns into it splitting and bat winging on the highway. I've been there and done that, guys. And then then you show up with it not tarp because the tarp shredded or ripped or got a hole in it, and they want to give you a claim. So, and they didn't properly prepare for shipping, and it was all on you. So you guys got to really step up to the plate here with this kind of stuff and double down on stuff like that and really prep it and make sure it's not going to rip your tarps. Make sure if you do get a hole in your tarp, you go get it patched, or you carry some patch kits, the iron-on glue ones, whatever, and stuff like that. But rate cons, let's get right into that. That's really, in the fine print is where they screw you with the rate cons, guys. I've had them send rate cons over, and we read every single rate con, I mean down to the detail, because I've had them send rate cons over, and it's like, oh, if you don't have this delivered, it's $250 an hour for every hour that you're late. Well, this is not an important commodity. This is just something that they were trying to standardize in every rate con, guys. And if you signed it and sent it back, which I would never do that because anything could happen. You can break down, you can hit traffic, you can hit ice, you can hit weather, you can have a number of things happen. You're not getting paid on that load, guys. They're in there just to screw you, right? So in that situation, I just told the broker, hey, I've never seen this language in a contract that wasn't a crane delivery or something more, contingency specialized equipment that I was getting paid for. This is just a standardized partial. This has to come out of the rate. This was to be delivered by Monday to Wednesday, right? It can be delivered anytime between Monday and Wednesday, or anytime between Friday and Monday, right? Or whatever, right? That needs to be put in. Whatever you say, whatever you agree to is what needs to be in the rate confirmation in your contract, guys. Because if you have something in there like that, you're screwed. What are you gonna do? You're screwed because you don't catch it, and maybe you didn't even read it, and you're not necessarily late because of something happening, but you just didn't, you kind of frivolous, like, oh, I'll be there, by 3, but they wanted it there at 8 a.m. Now you're not getting paid for the whole load. Maybe the load is $2,000, $250 an hour for every hour that you're late, and the broker's just gonna pocket that money because they're not gonna go to the customer and be like, sorry, it was late, because the customer didn't even care in the first place. I've called the customer, and the customer's like, I didn't care that it was late at 3 o'clock. It wasn't late, that was perfect. We needed it by Monday, or by Wednesday. We told them by Wednesday, you delivered on Monday, so you're 2 days ahead of time. And the broker says, well, nope, you were X amount of hours late, so we're gonna charge you $1,250, bud. So, pay attention to what you're doing, guys, and get on the same, situation. Right? I've had other situations where we get there and it's a vehicle. We had one time that was, if I could think of this guy's name, I'd put him on blast too, because this dude was a douchebag. We got there and my guy went through hell to bend over backwards, man. Shout out to my guy, Courtney too, that did this, man. I mean, he fixed it for him, had to go to the auto parts store and buy parts. It was like a armored vehicle or something, right? And something happened to it where it couldn't steer. And the deal was that we had to take it into like an expo facility, because it was the company that was, and the customer was real cool too. I'm surprised he didn't. I should have followed up with it. He probably would have took care of it, but he put it through a broker. The broker put it through us. And I can't think of the broker off the top of my head. But anyway, my guy gets there, had to be delivered in such and such time. He gets over there, and this happened. And then they wanted him to drive it in the building with a police escort into a big convention center and all this stuff. So he did all that, right? And it was in the rate, because it was a really good rate, really, really good rate. Several thousands of dollars. It was almost good for a whole week, and it was a short run, but it had more detailed, finicky headache stuff in it, right? He had to meet at a certain place, unload it here, get an escort into the building. Well, he does all that. It gets into the building, and the people wouldn't let it in because the vehicle was just assembled. It was a new unit. It was leaking fuel. And so he has to take it back. They had to figure out a deal to load it back up and all this and that. Well, in the interim, after my guy fixed it, it broke again, and something else broke. And what it was just too heavy for the steering apparatus. And it was kind of under-engineered or something. I wasn't there on site, but that's basically what I was told. So we called the guy, hey, you're going to have this thing picked up to put on the trailer so that we can bring it back to where it needed to go to. And he said, yeah, no problem. We'll get it taken care of. We'll get it paid for. So we didn't do anything wrong, guys. My guy didn't do anything wrong. There was no reason for this, but so they had to bring in a pretty heavy rollback or something. And I think it ended up costing around $1,000 to have this thing picked up, because it was so heavy, and put up on the trailer. Because it wouldn't steer, it wouldn't drive itself up there, right? And, I wasn't there. This is basically what went down. So we get it back to where it needed to go, and they had to have it unloaded again because they weren't able to fix it on the trailer to get it off the trailer. So they had to do the same thing down there. So it was like a couple grand to get it loaded and unloaded. Well, it wasn't our problem, right? Not our problem at all. I mean, that would have been something that was responsible for the customer, and the broker paid the bill $2,000 short. So, we factored it, of course. It was signed off on clean. Everything was good. Customer was thrilled, thought we were the best in the world. But I guess he was mad at the brokerage. He shorted the brokerage. In return, the brokerage shorted us. Now, again, it was not our problem, not our fault. We didn't do anything wrong. Nothing was damaged because of us. This was solely on the customer. Now, the customer shouldn't have done that, shouldn't have shorted the brokerage, because it was the customer's product. It was his merchandise. He was responsible for it in the end, right? Not the broker or not us. But he shorted the brokerage shorted us. And the brokerage shouldn't have shorted us because the customer shorted them, right? They were a big brokerage firm too. It wasn't a mom and pop shop. It was a multi-million-dollar brokerage. And that's why this is so shitty that they did this to us. But that's the kind of thing that you get into, guys. If you don't have it in writing, have them send any changes to the work order or to the contract over in writing. And I have it happen all the time. I had one just the other day. Oh yeah, we'll take care of that for you, no problem, right? They wouldn't, the dispatch didn't get it sent over in writing, and it was a small amount of money, $150 or something. I had to pay it to my owner operator because I don't like to see them get screwed like that. Even though it happens to us, if it's something so stupid that the broker's just being a butthole. But the broker wouldn't make good on his word. He was just an agent, so I called his boss. His boss said, hey, it is what it is. We don't have him on the recording. You don't have any evidence that he said that. And honestly, we should pay it, but he's saying he's not going to pay it, and he's in charge of the load. He couldn't bill it to the customer wouldn't pay it. Well, whether the customer pays it or not, if it's detention or screw around pay or something else, I don't remember what it was exactly. Maybe it was a TARP or something, and that he agreed to pay it. So we authorized the owner operator to do the work, and then come back and say, nah, we never talked about that. I don't know what you're talking about. And, what really makes it worse is that I double checked it. My dispatcher made it happen, and then I double checked and I said, okay, yeah, everybody's following up. Just make sure you get it in writing. Well, the guy ended up doing the work. It was late on a Friday, and they never sent it over in writing, and we got burned on that, and I had to pay it for it and cover it. But that's the kind of thing that you can run into. Always get it in writing, guys. Always, always, always get it in writing. and read your rate comms because they screw you in the fine print. They really bend you over in the fine print. The last thing I want to touch on is the shit that happens in the industry is DOT, man. DOT giving you, especially with a Hotshot. If you're signing up into Hotshot, you're signing up into cavity checks, buddy. And that's just the way it is, okay? It's cavity check city. You're going to get into a situation where I've had some of the dumbest stuff, and especially for my minority drivers. We have a bunch of them, guys, and you know, it's like, you know, they'll check the whole truck, empty it for marijuana smell, and none of them even mess with that kind of stuff. They're all been drug tested and stuff. Or they might have they give them a low tire, and it's low by 10 psi. Instead of saying, oh, you know, this and that, they'll actually check air in the tires, guys. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous, you know. And they could easily just say, oh, that tire looks a little bit low. When you run down the street to the truck stop, you know, have it checked out. You know, they're going to hit you guys for window tint. I know you guys want to run. I know you do, especially with you Hotshot guys. You want to run it like it's your truck. You want to take the magnets off on the weekends. Oh, I had a guy on Instagram say, ain't no fucking buddy doing that. We're running magnets. We're pulling it off. I don't care. I'm going to fight it in court. Knock yourself out, man. Knock yourself out. I'm not going to do it because I have too many trucks and I don't want the liability, man. Plus, if somebody wrecks and kills somebody or they're out on the weekend and they're drinking in their truck and it's a commercial motor vehicle, you can't have alcohol in it, right? And they get caught with a DW. It just creates nightmares, man. I like to have a beer every now and then, but I don't want to put myself in a situation in a CMV with beer around it or anything like that, right? It's a commercial motor vehicle, guys. It's not your personal rig. You guys want to adapt it to your personal rig, and that's not what it is. It really isn't. And you want to, you know, do this with it and pull your four-wheelers and pull your dragster on the weekend, pull your horse trailer or your whatever. That's not what it's for, guys. It's a commercial motor vehicle. It's made to pull freight for your company. So if it's not doing that, even if it is doing it, I don't mind you doing that, but you need to log the hours, you need to do it right, you need to do everything on the up and up. But if you're taking the signs off and you're doing everything half-assed and you're changing plates, maybe you've got it plated and they didn't catch it, you got a portion plates and you got these plates and you're taking this one off, putting that one on. I've seen guys do that shit. You know, you got your IFTA on your sticker so you can take the whole thing off. And yeah, it doesn't look like a CMV no more and you're running on the weekends. You unplug your ELD, you plug it back in, you unplug it, you plug it back in. You guys are going to get busted. And if something bad happens, okay, you are screwed, all right? Absolutely screwed. But we're talking about DOT and giving you a lot of shit. They can give you stuff for window tint easily. Missouri, Tennessee, and Georgia, they crack down on it all the time. Had dozens and dozens of inspections. And one of the first things they check is that. They check length. We did a video on length laws. If you guys are worried about that, they do bust for that. It's 60 foot is the legal length limit in Wisconsin and Indiana, guys. How are you going to run to Ohio and make any money not going through Indiana? You're going to go around it? You know what I mean? Come on, you're going to have to go right through it. So if you do it long enough, it ain't a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You're going to get busted. You're going to get a ticket for it. You know, DOT giving you problems on your ELD if you're not managing it correctly. You know, you get these audits, guys, it's going to do one of two things. They're going to give you an option. Go out of business or we're going to give you fines. I've heard of people getting as much as, there was one recently, they turned in the logs. They got my safety guy just said it today on a video online. $33,000 in fines over e-log violations, guys, because he turned in his logs thinking they were all legit, and they found errors in them, and he didn't go put them through the safety guy and say, hey, make sure these are all good, and you handle my audit and make sure everything's right. He turned in the stuff, didn't know how to turn it in, didn't know how to check it, whatever. I don't know what happened, but $33,000. Can you eat $33,000? You guys barely got $14,700 to start your company, to buy a truck and trailer and do what you need to do. I don't think you can pay $33,000, guys. A lot of you, especially you one truck owner hopper. So you guys on Instagram and this and that, you know, coming at me and saying, hey, you know, we're going to do whatever the hell we want. I'm going to run it the way I want. I'm going to do what I want with it. You know, I'm going to put these big rims, do this and do that and do that. They're going to measure your mud flap distance to the ground. I don't know why I've heard a lot of them going after the Peterbilt guys too. I don't know why they have a hard on for them, but they'll say the visors, the sun visors in the front are no bueno. And I had a guy that I met that actually had to take it off. He had it's, you know, the apparatus that bolts on, not just the tent, but the one that actually bolts on the front of the Pete's, man, or the Kenworths or whatever, the long hood trucks. You know, they had to actually get out there with wrenches and take the damn thing off before he would let him leave, and he gave him a citation for it. So. You know, I got a ticket one time for my damn trailer license plate being expired by 1 day. You know, I thought, man, you know, you can give me a warning for this, or just a verbal, hey, man, you know, you're doing good. I hear everything else is on the up and up. Get this taken care of, buddy. Have a good one. Be safe. No, they give you a damn ticket. Here you go. You know, it's revenue. The one that really used to get me is Oklahoma, man. We go through there all the time, and those guys just straight dickheads, most of them, man. Not people. I have a lot of people that run for me from Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. I used to live there, but the DOT officers, man. I mean, I had one guy give me an inspection for 3 hours. Looked at every nut and bolt, man, for 3 hours. I mean, crawled under, went back in, talked to his boss, came back out, crawled under again, and you know, just no violations. He ended up, I think, getting me on a log violation I missed my pre-trip, or it didn't log it or something. I did my pre-trip and it didn't log it. Something like that. It's some BS stuff. And he was just looking, man. I don't know why he was looking. But, you know, lease agreements, fire extinguishers not mounted. So many things that they can get you for, guys. And some of you deserve it because you just don't know enough and you didn't do the research to get in. I had videos on what you need to do that. But, guys, you really got to pay attention to this stuff because they're going to, you know, this is the shit that goes on in the industry that people are tired about. FMCSA, a lot of these people don't, you know, never driven a truck. A lot of DOT officers have never driven a truck, never had a CDL. You know, they came out of the public sector, you know, directing traffic or some shit. And they don't have any idea what it takes to run a truck, you know, provide for your family, get 80,000 pounds down the road safely into where it needs to go in the right way. And they just literally, they go through some of these safety schools or some of the stuff that they're just taught to look for these X amount of things. So they're like X-ray guys. They can see, you know, how long, boom, boom, boom. They just know what to look for. And if you guys aren't really, you know, paying attention to these things, you're going to get busted. Even if you are paying attention and you're a really good driver like I was, and I have a lot of guys that are, they're really on the money with the stuff. They still get, you know, stupid stuff, low tire, you know, 10 PSI, and they write them a violation for it. I had another guy, you know, he got a failure to secure load. He had some mud fall out from under a bobcat and land on the trailer, right? This is why I tell guys before you go in the scale house to get the guy to come out and do your inspection. Sometimes you don't get that. They come right out and I'm gonna do your inspection, I'm gonna walk around. But sometimes they allow you to come in, then they come out and do your level 1. But walk around your trailer real quick. If there's a strap that's messed up, pull it and change it real quick or whatever. Before you get that level 1, you know, just walk around and make sure there ain't nothing that's not strapped or your chain is loose or whatever before you go in and start that process, because once he comes out and finds those things, then you can end up in a violation. But this guy should have went around and he had a clump of mud fall, and they said that that could have caused somebody to go through their window and kill them, falling off the trailer, and that is why he gave him a failure to secure his load. Now he's driving down the road, the damn, what is he supposed to pressure wash every bobcat or a piece of equipment before he puts it on the trailer? I mean, it's ridiculous. And a little bit of mud falling, you know, yeah, it might dent somebody's stuff or chip a window, but it's not gonna, in my opinion, go through somebody's windshield and cause them to die. I think it's ridiculous. But he did give him a failure to secure load violation. And you can dispute some of that stuff, guys, but you gotta have proof, you gotta have evidence, and it's a process. But something like that, you're not gonna really dispute it. You know, it's stupid. And is it a failure to secure load? Is it really done the right way? Maybe that DOT officer wasn't educated in how he should have really went about that. Should he have said, hey man, that mud's there, make sure you throw that off the trailer before you leave out the weigh station or whatever. He didn't do that. He gave him a failure to secure load ticket. It's bullshit in my opinion for something like that. And I've had some things happen to me too. And you know, some of the guys on here, that especially the non-CDL guys, have been hit with, you know, they're like 200 pounds over, you know, and it could be their scale is off that much. Their scale could really be off to where it's 200 pounds in their favor and not in yours, and you got it weighed at the CAT scale and it's not, you know, and you go down the street and have it reweighed again after you know, put that back on or whatever, and that's the situations you run into. So there's a lot of shit in the industry, guys. You know, brokers canceling loads, double booking the load, double brokering. I've had loads that, you know, they double broker the load. They come in and book it. Landstar used to be bad about this, but there's a couple other ones. And these people just disappear quickly. Like they're new brokers and they try to cheat and then they get fired or whatever. But they come on, they'll book a load through this company and then give it to you, right? Now, I've had this situation happen where we show up and we show who we're with and whatever, and the customer calls the original broker and tells them what happened. They've got paperwork from this company, and they're like, oh, no, this ain't gonna happen. So they call us direct and say, hey, you're not allowed I have to pay you direct. We're gonna have to do a new rate con. I don't know what you agreed rate over here, but this is what we're willing to pay on a load. It's usually a couple $100 more, if not, you know, 150 to 500 bucks more that we booked the load for with the original broker, and cut the other person out. Now that pisses feelings off, but they should have been double brokered in the first place. The stuff is illegal. Not to mention the problems that you can have out here, right? You know, the other shit in the industry that I didn't really talk about is drivers being pissed off at you. Now you cut somebody off. I had this happen one time. He tried to steal my parking spot, and I was tired and I was aggravated, and I had a wide load, and it was kind of ridiculous. It was a Russian cat. And we were in the truck stop, and I was trying to do a blind side back. For you guys that don't know what a blind side back is, it's when you're in the driver's seat and you're backing to your blinded side. Now, if you're backing this side, you can look out the window when you're backing and kind of see easily. But I was trying to do a blind side back. It wasn't working out. I was aggravated, so I pulled up and around to come back at it. And there was 40 other parking spaces that this guy could have took. And he sat there and watched me try to do this back. And then I pull up, and I signaled to him, I'm going to pull around to back. Okay, I said wait, and I went around to do it, and I'll be damned if he didn't pull in and try to take my spot. So I pulled in and tried to block him out from doing it, and he was trying to back up, and obviously then he got out and he wanted to fight over it and this and that. And anybody that knows me, you know that I'm ready to fist fight over something stupid like that, you know. But you know, it's ridiculous that he was trying to do that when there was 40 other spots. So he ended up saying, "F you, get a real truck." I had a Hotshot truck at the time. Get a real truck, and you know, you drive a freaking little bullshit pickup truck, this and that. And he went and parked in his other spot. But what made me mad is it was a corner spot. Yeah, it was easy to get into, but I had a giant tank that was like 14, 15 foot wide, and it was one of the only spots that I could have fit in. I couldn't have fit in them other spots, and it was, you know, 14 tall or whatever, 13.6. Well, I don't remember what it was. It was an oversized load though, and it was really big. So I should have, you know, went with my gut instinct. My gut instinct was like, hey, I should just go down the road. I think I had 30 minutes left on my clock. I should have just went down the road, parked somewhere else, and avoided it, right? So I go in there, I get a shower, I come back and go to sleep. Next morning I wake up, all my trailer lights have been busted out. I don't know how I didn't catch this. He pulled a couple of them out, you know, ripped the wire. So I had to wake up and go in the truck stop, buy some lights, fix this stuff myself. It cost me like 140 bucks. You know, he had some pizza. You could tell he pissed on my wheel. So that's the kind of shit you're going to deal with too, right? I also had another guy, I think, that was mad about me backing in, you know, at 3 o'clock in the morning maybe, and waking him up or whatever. But I woke up one morning. It could have just not been anything to do with that. But it could have been something shifted and I just didn't catch it. But I did my pre-trip the next morning and 2 of my straps were cut. Now, it could have been a situation where it was kind of on a metal object, so it's kind of iffy. I could have, you know, it could have shifted and ripped the strap, but that was the only time in 3 years over the road that ever happened to me. But I woke up and it looked like the strap was cut with a razor, but it was a clean cut. And, you know, you piss somebody off and they cut your strap and you don't do a pre-trip, guys, and you go down the road, and if you're doing flatbed, this can happen to you, or even car, right? You don't check it. They undo the strap or cut it, you drive off, or even they're bad about pulling your kingpin on semis, guys. A lot of semis guys know this. If you don't do your pre-trip, you know, and it's like the old cats that are aggravated. It's a way of, you know, doing it to the young bucks, saying, yeah, I'll catch him. He'll get up in the morning and he won't do his pre-trip and he'll pull out and the kingpin will separate from the truck because they pulled it and the trailer will fall off the truck. And then you end up with a claim and damage and all kinds, who knows what kind of problems. But, so that's why those pre-trips are important, guys. You get around there, they might have stabbed your tire. Who knows what kind of individual you're sleeping next to in the truck stops or whatever, guys. That's the shit that goes on in the industry. So if you guys really want to, you know, get it straight from the horse's mouth, I was out there for many years. I did it, and I'm telling you, this is the truth, guys. For those of you that watch, you know, the guys that have the 100,000 following, the 10,000, 15,000 following, I'm not there yet, but have they dealt with this many issues? You know what I mean? You know, you get out there and you have a breakdown and somebody comes out, the only guy that'll answer, the only guy that they'll send to tow, and you call 15 companies and you had a breakdown, the axle go bad or whatever on a truck, and nobody will come tow you, man. I had a guy sit in Atlanta. None of my towing people wanted to mess with it that I called. I called 15, 20 people, and I had towing insurance at the time, which is also tough because a lot of towing companies don't want to work with it for commercial side because it could be expensive. We had the axle go down in a truck on the back, so it created a problem because you couldn't tow it if you picked it up in the front. So it was gonna have to be towed separately. He was gonna have to have somebody come out, tow the trailer, and then come out and separately and get the truck and put it on a rollback. It couldn't be picked up and towed because the axle went out, right? I think it sheared the lug nuts off or something like that. I can't remember. But my guy sat there alongside the road. You know, I told him, hey man, get an Uber and go to a truck stop, leave the truck there, whatever. And he's like, nah, I'll just hang out here. You know, I'll watch the freight. I'm afraid somebody's gonna break into the truck or something's gonna happen. So he hung out there for like 8 hours. And I finally, about 4 hours into it, I was about 5 hours away from him. And they said, nah, man, we don't want to mess with it. We don't have the equipment. You know, all the excuses in the world. We're too far away. It'd take us 3 hours to get there. So I ended up just coming over there with one of my trucks and my trailers. And we put the truck up on the trailer, went down and dropped it, come back, got the trailer, took it over to a place and dropped it, and then fixed it ourselves. Because again, it was a weekend. I went to several different places. Nobody had time to fix it or wanted to fix it. I don't have time. I don't have the equipment. I can't get the parts, yada, yada. So I had to go to the parts house, get the parts, fix it myself in the parking lot. And that's kind of that's the shit you run into, man. And these guys, the Loves truck stops, the Pilot truck stops. I'm not knocking just everybody in the industry because there's a lot of good people out there. I genuinely believe that the majority of people are good, but this is what you run into. You get there, and they're like, I don't have the time to mess with that. You know, especially in Hotshot, guys. You guys just don't realize they think we're a joke in Hotshot. They think we can't generate the amount of revenue. We're rookies. We're too much. You know, we're too scared to drive a big truck, whatever. And I've driven both, guys, and I'm telling you right now, it's harder to live in a Hotshot truck, it's harder to drive a Hotshot truck, and it's harder to put up with the shit that you're gonna put up with in a Hotshot truck. You're gonna have to put up with half the shit, deal with half the problems, half the broker issues. You're gonna find freight easier. Your life is much easier in a semi. So anybody that thinks that the guy in the Hotshot truck, you guys are driving the semis, driving down the road, you think, oh, that looks easy. Look at that little cute truck. They make fun of him. You know, one of the guys said, oh, it's like he drives little trucks for midgets, you know, easy to get in and out of and stuff like that. You know, kiss my ass to all you guys, because I think it's harder to live in that pickup truck. The parts are harder to get for that truck. The truck can't haul as much weight. It's a pain in the ass, guys. I've done both, and I would pick semi almost every time, depending on your situation. You know, if you get into it, you don't have a lot of money, and you're able to get into this truck. If you're new to the market and you want to test your feet, you know, and you don't want to jump right into a semi, you're scared of the size of it and the capacity of it, not knowing things, then yeah, get into a Hotshot, man. Just do it right and learn, educate, watch videos, follow people like me. There's many others, you know, Shaggy's Consulting and Training, you know, the Toe Piglet Cat on there. You know, there's many different ones online that have a good following that are showing you the real in-depth stuff. But I'm trying to tell you the real in-depth stuff from what I've dealt with, what I've done, and I've done a lot of it, guys. And there's just a lot of shit out there that you can deal with. Be prepared for it. Be prepared for the mistakes that you might make. And, you know, that's it, man. So I'm not going to let this video, it's already dragged on way longer than what I wanted it to, but I think it's a good video. I think it's stuff that you guys need to know. You know, DOT giving you shit, brokers giving you shit, all the crap that goes on in the industry. And there's a whole lot more, guys. This video just focused on a couple of things and a few little tidbits, and there's a lot more. So protect yourself all the time. Take pictures, you know, videos, use your ELD, get a dash camera, get a safety director or a safety company, or develop a safety plan. And so much more. So this is just a quick video, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, like, comment, tell me what you think. I appreciate you tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.